had a hold me back moment. Keep moving and hit the brakes.
We're not promoting violence. We're just having some fun. Hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes on this one. Jalen, just watch this play and just commentate it for us. Just commentate it. Give us your Marv Albert.
So basically, go to the basket, gets fouled, and then you straddle the other guy. And at that point when you stand up, and then you got to stand up really fast, and then it becomes, hold me back. Because Gary Trent just got traded there, and he been balling. He ain't trying to punch nobody with those right hands. That three been money. And Montrezl Harrell getting nice minutes now that LeBron James and AD's out. He ain't trying to necessarily be missing no games. So we'll get ejected for the day. And OG Anunby always is a physical presence for the Raptors, who've been really getting some great contributions from some of their new players.
My favorite part about this exchange is after the game, Harrell was asked if he had beef with anybody on the Raptors. He said, I have beef with everyone not in a Lakers jersey. That's my favorite quote. I have beef. He's like, the refs, the vendors, the people in the stands. He's like, if you're not wearing a white and blue Lakers jersey, I have beef with you. Big shout to Trez. That was a lot of fun.
Get your money, Dennis Schroder.
Moving on to another game in the NBA last night. The Hawks eked out a win against the Pelicans. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Oh, man, hit the brakes.
Trae Young had 30, and the Hawks were absolutely on fire from three in the third quarter to get the win. What do you think about their performance ever since they switched coaches?
I think they switched coaches, and it coincided when Bogdanovich returned. So now as ownership, you give yourself a chance to truly assess if Nate McMillan could do this job, which we know he could because we predicted that this would happen when they hired him. And then you acquire Lou Will, and how fantastic has Trae Young been? Scoring the ball, getting assists. The Atlanta Hawks, piece up, A-Town down.
Look at them in the 4 spot. I mean, if you would have showed me these standings before the season, I would say, all right, well, 3 people got hurt on the Celtics. I don't know what happened to the Hawks. But look at these standings. This is wild. This is going to be real fun to see who ends up playing who in the play-in game. Are the Knicks going to make the playoffs? There is so much going on in the East right now and still to be seen in these last 20, 25 games. I can't wait for that drama to unfold away with the Boston Celtics. What did you think of the performance of Joel Embiid last night?
He's playing like an old school Chevy, and I appreciate that. Because look at that, old school post moves, getting it on the block, jab step, pump fake, drive the middle. And how about the double step back at the end of the game for a 7-footer? Get a small player on you, punish them. And that's what he's doing. I appreciate that. And he truly exposes, and I know the Celtics have dealt with a lot of COVID-related missed games with their big up front, but he really exposes when these two teams play, why Boston big man production is gonna cost them when the postseason comes. They've struggled. Now, Robert Williams has shown promise, and I believe that guy can be somebody that they can rely on moving forward. And Taco Fall, you know, the big fella is a fan favorite, but I still need him to ball a lot better. You know, Wagner is my guy from Michigan. But they're gonna need some consistency at that spot, Jacoby, along with Kemba Walker. If the Celtics are gonna do anything, I wanna celebrate the Sixers being tied with the Nets for the best record in the East. But it's hard to ignore that the Celtics are struggling in that conference when you start to look at the standings.
And they had no answer for Embiid, but they also turned the ball over a lot. I mean, this wasn't all just good defense from the 76ers. It just seemed like they had, I mean, Smart had 6 turnovers, and the Celtics as a team had 22 turnovers. This Boston team is just not only below expectations, but way, way below expectations. When you look at the standings in the East and you see where Boston is, that is not where any of us expected them to be at the beginning of the season. But right now, we're going to focus on the Western Conference, because the Warriors and the Bucks game went down to the wire at the very end. The ball was kind of bouncing around. No one really knew where it was going, and it ended up getting blocked by Andrew Wiggins right here, and the Warriors came away with the win, and Steph Curry was cooking again. What do you think about these Warriors as they hover around that playing position in the West?
Good to see Wiggins making plays. And when Oubre was struggling earlier in the year, you know, I came onto this show and told everybody to calm down. that he was going to be a productive player, and against the Hawks and in this game, he played really well. But the highlight from this game, and obviously you want to see Wiseman be productive and catch some lobs and give you some rim running. The elephant in the room is that the Golden State Warriors are going to be a part of the play-in game, which means Steph Curry, the greatest home run hitter in the history of the NBA from three-point range, is going to get a chance to not only play himself into the playoffs, but possibly upset one of these top seeds. Imagine you're the Suns, you're the Jazz, and you get the Golden State Warriors and a hot Steph Curry in the first round. That's what stood out when I watched this game, Jacoby.
Now, the play-in situation is a little complicated. 7 and 8 would play each other, and 9 and 10 would play each other. The loser of 7 and 8 would then play the winner of 9 and 10 for the 8th seed. Now, that could mean that the Jazz or the Suns, as you mentioned, end up playing the Warriors in the first round. And whenever you have Steph Curry, you have a chance for an upset, even in a 7-game series. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch how this all ends up with the Mavericks playing really well and the Lakers kind of sliding. We could be in a position where the Lakers have to win to get in the playoffs, but we will see. And right now, we focus our attention to the NFL draft. And Jalen, we featured Kyle Pitts on this show because we know that there's going to be 3 quarterbacks, 1, 2, and 3. But the number 4 spot is the Atlanta Falcons. They need to take Kyle Pitts there. And Schefter's saying that they're looking at maybe trading down. The Atlanta Falcons need to take Kyle Pitts at number 4. They should not trade down. What do you think about that?
Game changer. And just physically, you get a chance to line him up in the huddle with Julio Jones. Wow, Jacoby. Talk about putting fear in the defense. And the tight end position has evolved. This guy's going to be able to line up in so many different places and be a contributor in so many different ways for their team. I like this for the Falcons.
They really should not trade out of this spot, but any other team could give up a lot because Kyle Pitts is that sort of a game changer. You could put him at receiver. He's scored 12 touchdowns last year in about 7.5 games. He is going to be in the discussion with Waller, Kittle, and Kelsey as the best tight ends in the game. I'd say this season, that's how impactful this young man should be. And Atlanta Falcons fans, please, please, please do not mess this up. Just take the short thing. Kyle Pitts. Moving on. Russell Wilson has been in the news a lot this offseason about whether or not he wants to leave or whether or not he's going to stay and what the Seahawks are going to do to help him. Well, Carlos Dunlap and others have said that Russell Wilson told them that he is going to stay with the Seahawks. Jalen, what does that mean to you?
It's like, what you want to do, what you want to do. So here's how this works. We all under contract to play for this season. After that, all bets are off. So in translation, yes, what he said is accurate. He is there to stay, but for only this season. That's how I interpret this. Until they protect him better, do something along the offensive line. What do you think?
See, here's how it works. Your girlfriend doesn't come to you and say, you know what, I'm thinking about breaking up with you in a month. You know what I mean? Like, you tear that Band-Aid off. And I feel the same way about Russell Wilson. He's like, yeah, I'm staying. Right now I'm staying. I'm definitely staying for this season. I'm definitely going to stay for this season. He's like, I'm staying, Mr. Dunlap, so you should sign that contract. I'm staying for these 17 games, and we will see what happens after that. Because I, like you, do not believe that Russell Wilson is long for this franchise, especially if they come up short in the playoffs again like they did last year against the Rams at home. Well, we've got some more bad news for Texans fans and Deshaun Watson. 2 of the 22 accusers of sexual misconduct at the hands of Watson have come out and spoke publicly, and the NFL is taking it very seriously, and they're investigating, and Nike has now suspended their relationship with Watson. Jalen, with all of this going on, do you think Watson will play on an NFL field in Week 1?
I don't, Jacoby. I think at this point, it's best for all parties involved, Deshaun Watson, the NFL, and obviously with the accusers, is to take a step back and allow him to get this sorted out before football even becomes the focus. As these numbers continue to add up, I think that's the best course of action for each side.
Yes, as the more details come out and the more I read about this, just the more serious and disgusting the accusations are against Watson. I think that through the investigation and through the civil suit, the NFL will eventually end up suspending him. I don't know if they will, but I think they will eventually, and he will not play week 1, whether it's for the Texans or another team. Jalen, moving on. Last night in the Raptors-Lakers game, we had something that you like to call a hold me back moment. There's OG Anunby straight up wrestling with Schroder.
Hold me back!
Stay tuned. You're watching Jalen and Jacoby.